Okay. Aloha cupcakes. Check this out. I'm using an autofocus lens. Did you know I could do that? You didn't. It's fine. Check it out. This is the PB800. It is a long lining brush. It is for straight pinstriping. And today, I'm gonna do a pinstriping test where I'm only doing straight lines, and I'm gonna be using urethane because I wanna see what my long liners can do against each other. So let's start with a very common brush, and that is the Mack Blue Wrap. What is this one, a 000? Yeah, it's 000. It's a pretty common brush. I think almost everybody has one of these in their kit if they have not always used this in their kit. It's definitely not my go-to brush, and it is one of my least favorite ones to use. So obviously I don't use it very much, and it's fine. It's working okay. Like, I'm not having too much struggles, except that it appears that there's a wrinkle in the paper that I'm working on. Nice, right there. That's just going to be messed up for every one of these stripes. So we're going to pretend that doesn't exist. And yes, I know paper is probably not like the preferred thing for this. I'm just tired of going through all these panels, sanding them, and then having to repaint them. It's just tedious. And this paper is it's working for the most part. It's not the best. It's kind of fun to play with because you do have the luxury to be able to throw it away. But yeah, for this purpose, that wrinkle is just going to annoy me. So, but this brush is fine. It worked okay. My next brush is the Vono Pro Series. So this is a 000. Yeah, this is the 000. I didn't mean to put 000s in this. So I was going to try to do 00s, but I don't have every one of these brushes in a 00 anymore. So we're going with this one. Now, this is not my typical straight lining brush. I do use it for fine lining, and I do use it on things like fenders and matching to the pinstripes that I do on the sidelines. So I don't really use this one for the long lines because it is a very short bristled brush. And while I do have a lot more control and a lot more flexibility in curves, the straight lines just make me freaking nervous with this one. But if I slow it down and I reduce it just enough, I'm getting consistent lines with it. Like, it's working okay for this. Still, I think if I was pulling this on the sidelines, especially if I was doing horizontal lines, this thing would drive me insane. I still will tell you to try it because it is a great brush. It is smooth and is consistent, and you're going to get solid lines with it. Just, it would make me crazy because I've been using the longer bristled brushes for this. But yeah, other than the wrinkle in the paper, this one did pretty good, I think. Or I did okay. The brush did great. I did okay. So next one, I'm going to try the triple hippie. I don't have a valid reason why I'm doing this. I understand that it's got the long enough bristles to pull straight lines, and this one has been doing some really crazy curves for me and some twists and turns. So I just thought I'd throw it in here just for a comparative, and surprisingly, I got some really good consistent straight lines with it. Like, they're a little bit thicker, but definitely consistent lines. It's easy to pull. It has a little bit more playroom in it because it is a longer bristled brush. I probably could have reduced it down and moved a whole lot faster to pull still a consistent line. It's just that this one I wasn't 100% sure on, so I might try it again on a few other tests with an actual panel. Something that's been clear coated maybe. But yeah, this is working for me. I like this. I mean, this brush has definitely been challenging for me for everything I've used it for. So this is no surprise that it's going to do this a little bit differently to me. And now I'm mildly insulting myself because I probably could get away with using this brush for straight lines as much as curves. Yeah, I'm liking this brush way more than I should. I wanted to hate this brush so much, and then I started using it, and yes, it's difficult, but I kind of really like working with it. Okay, this next one here. This is the Tom Kelly. This one is a number 1, so it's a lot fatter brush, but I will tell you, having worked with this one for a couple of tests, it, as a fatter brush, pulls a finer line. So let's give this one a shot. Let's see how this goes. It's a little softer than I would have expected a brush like this to be, but it still pulls
very clean, crisp lines, and straight lines are definitely no exception. This one pulled a pretty solid, clean line. I'm not even mad at that. I mean, yeah, okay, so there's the wrinkle, but other than that, this one performs not surprising. I shouldn't say that. I've known Tom quite a while, and I've seen his work and what he does with these brushes. And I've actually only ever seen him work with the number 2. I've never seen him working with the number 1. I feel like that might be too thin of a brush for him, but like maybe I should have thrown the number 2 in this test. Like I think I may pull another one of these tests and just try it with the number 2, just see how that one works for this. But like I could probably pull a faster line with this one and still be okay. Now this other one here, this is it's a chrome handled blue wrap. It's essentially a Mack, but it's something I got from Von Hot Rod several years ago. And it came in handy because at the time I had fractured my wrist and I had a bunch of nerve damage in my elbow and there was just a lot going on. And the extra weight helped me to stabilize my hands better. And even just pulling this line here, it's a little bit more, I'm more comfortable with it. And yes, I spent several years just working with this brush over and over and over again, trying to get to where I could stripe again. But the extra bit of weight from this brush helps pull smoother lines. And it's a weird balance because I don't have anything to compare it to because it's the only one that I have. And if you cross paths with Von Hot Rod and you see some pinstriping brush with chrome handles, I highly recommend getting a hold of one. Give this thing a shot because even for this test, I just threw it in as a comparative and it is still pulling those crisp, clean lines. And that's, yes, that's something I worked with, but I think it's something that could help a lot, especially if you have any form of like shakes or arthritis or any of those kind of conditions. This is a solid brush for that purpose. Now we're getting into these metal ferrules, and this one is the Dominic Quin. Dominic Quin. I can't even spell it right. It's fine. It is very close to the Dominican brushes that some of us remember from way back in the day, back when paint had lead in it. Yeah, those are a heartbreaker because those are amazing brushes for straight lines. And I would say that this brush is no exception to it. I have used this one quite a bit for some of the sidelines, and I'm not 100% comfortable with this handle. Like it's got a kind of goofy, long, pointy handle that like kind of just jams into like the little spot between your thumb and your palm. It's not a huge fan of that, and I could probably just chop that off. But I haven't messed with this brush too terribly much. It's just something that I've used when it comes in. Like it's like, oh, I need another straight line, and I don't feel like paletting out another or loading up a different brush for a different color. And it's like, this will work. This is a good secondary brush for me for when I'm pulling straight lines. Yeah, I messed up right there. So don't look at that spot. It's not even the wrinkle anymore. It's just down that low. I start messing up. Now this one is the Pee-wee 800. I like the old handle better. Let's just call it what it is. They were thicker right where the metal ferrule is. They were a lot more comfortable, and now it's super thin. You might be able to see on screen, I'm not a small dude. Okay, we'll call it what it is. I am a bigger dude. You give me a tool that is now smaller and considerably tougher for me to grip. It's harder for me to use. That being said, though, this is still a Pee-wee 800. It is still an amazing brush because I am pulling a whole lot thinner line than I did with any of these other brushes, and it is just fantastic for that. So you need to do sidelines, and you need someone to pull some really fine lines, also very thick lines, and just have that control that you can do it. Even when I was too thin with the amount of reducer, and I'm correcting that, and I probably should edit this out, but nah, you guys can see when I mess up, it's fine. Because that's my fault. It's not the brush's fault. That's just me not doing it right, and that's not putting enough reducer in my paint. That's all it is. And Sorry, I'm still getting used to using the urethanes, and I still haven't had warmer weather while working with this, so my reducer balance is a little off sometimes. Just the same, though, this brush has pulled some very clean, precise lines. And the same thing with the Dominic Quin. It's got that goofy handle on it, and it's got this weird little sharp, pointy nub that just sticks in the wrong part of my hand. Unfortunately, that little nub sticking in the wrong part of my hand also is the thing that's giving me the stability that I'm pulling right now, because it is super thin and it is very difficult for me to grip. But finding balance, figuring out where it works is all that it really takes with this brush. And then once you get comfortable with it, even if it's not your favorite thing, we're still pulling very clean lines. That, okay, maybe it's this spot on the paper that's not, because I had to go back and redo this one as well. Whatever. Don't use paper. Use a panel. Use an actual panel. I'm doing this because I'm lazy. So this little beastie, the Mach 1. Now this was the direct replacement to the Dominican brushes, and I have a 00. I have been using this brush for longer than I can actually remember. Now check this out though. This is the fun part. I can go a whole lot faster with this brush. Partially because I'm a lot more comfortable with it. It is something I've been using for eternity. So I could just zip through this a lot quicker than I do with the other ones. And I have super thin lines and I'm super confident with it. Here's the problem though. This handle is about the size of a toothpick. So depending on where I am with weight training and stuff like that, if I've been doing any heavy weight lifting, which I haven't really this week, this brush, I cannot tell if I'm holding it correctly or not. So what'll happen is I will flip it upside down, or I will hold it crooked, or I just cannot feel where the brush is because it's just so tiny that I feel like it doesn't even exist. That may not be a hindrance to you, but it definitely is for me, despite the fact that this, for me, is the best long lining brush I have. But we still have one more brush, and it is this monstrosity of a brush. This is the DiVinci. I'm not even sure which series this is. This is the synthetic version because it's like $80 for the natural squirrel hair one. Here's the thing with this brush. I swear it went through a barbershop. And it is tailored, or it's trimmed in a way where I don't know that I've ever had a brush that was this nice or this pampered. I've got a couple David Jackson brushes. Even those are pretty close, but I would say that this one is trimmed ever so slightly better. And I mean, we're talking about like on less than a millimeter's difference. As a result, though, this thing pulls some of the cleanest freaking lines ever, and I honestly wish I had discovered this brush sooner because it has become my primary straight lining brush because it is just clean. Even when my hands aren't working right, or even when I don't feel completely confident in what I'm doing, this brush kind of makes up for me, and it just pulls absolutely flawless lines. It just won't turn to save your life. So if you need something for straight lines, this is the way to go. But if you want something to turn, not this one at all. But this is definitely my best brush for straight lining. And here, I'll give you a comparison so you can see the rest of the stripes. All right, that should work. Okay, so here we are. This is the blue wrap, and it had some goofiness. But I mean, yeah, we have a wrinkle in the paper here. But ultimately, blue wrap did just fine. The Von Dago, I don't usually use this one for straight lines, but it did a fairly good job, minus the wrinkle. Now, Triple Hippie, surprisingly, pulled some really good smooth lines for this. I kind of liked it. I don't know that would be my straight lining go-to brush, but it definitely could be used for straight lining. The Tom Kelly, though, that pulled some clean lines, and then I messed up. So then that chrome handle, while it does help me stabilize quite a bit, I think I tried moving a little bit slower with this one, and I probably should have gone a little bit faster. Still a good brush to work with. The Dominic Quin has become one of my more consistent straight liners just because it pulls some really good lines. I'm just not 100% comfortable with that handle, and I haven't figured out how I want to trim it yet.
The Pee Wee 800, this new handle, it's not something I'm 100% comfortable with, but the brush is still amazing. Now the Mach 1, this brush works great. This thing's absolutely freaking amazing. It's just that handle is so skinny, I can barely hold on to it. I have big hands, whatever. And then the DiVinci. This has become my primary straight liner because it just pulls near flawless lines, and I'm moving pretty fast when I work with it. All right, well, I guess there's no clear winner with this, but I have some that I like a little bit more than I like others. Obviously, I have my two preferential brushes because one of them I've worked with forever. The other one just makes me feel like I messed up by not owning one sooner. And did you see? We got to use the OG today. How did you like the footage on that one? Did you even notice? You didn't notice. It's fine. I like using it. I think it's a really amazing camera. I think this is an amazing camera, and especially now that I have autofocus, because I can do this thing right here, right? We go like this, right? Look at that. But then it's probably autofocus, but you get what I mean. This is stuff I get to play with, and it makes doing this a lot more fun. So if you were on the live and you saw this while I was doing it, awesome, great. Stick around. We're gonna do more of those. And if you weren't, and this is all you're seeing, well, also great. Thanks for watching. This was a lot of fun. Till my next one, stay moist, my friends.